Welcome to the Reserve Funding Analyzer. This is the introductory video where I'm going to describe the purpose and the general structure of the Reserve Funding Analyzer, or the RFA. So first, what is the RFA? The RFA is a Microsoft-based Excel application that I developed for homeowner associations so that you can perform a financial analysis on the overall expenses that an HOA is responsible for, and then develop a funding plan to meet those expenses. So it's a critical element in performing a reserve study. Now, in order to run the RFA, you need to have a Windows PC. And on that Windows PC, you need to have Microsoft Excel. I'm going to open up a copy of the RFA and just give you a brief tour of the overall functions. First, you might get a security warning. This is advising you that there's active content and you need to enable this content in order to have full function. Once you enable the content, and upon first use, you will see this pop-up window. This window is just advising you that you should save an original copy of the RFA as you received it and preserve it, and then work with a second copy to actually insert data. You can choose to not show this message every time it opens up a workbook by clicking on the box that you see here. I'm going to close it, and in a few seconds after opening the workbook, a pop-up window will come up, and this is the control panel. The control panel is a user form within Excel, and you can move it and park it over to the side if you should so desire. Also, the first page that will open in the control panel is the home page, and the first sheet that will open in the application is the home sheet. And generally, many of the sheets are tied to the actual buttons in the control panel. I call this linking. But on the home sheet of the application are some user controls that you can see here. And there's also a description of the worksheets and their functions. There's a small legend here about what the colors mean within the various cells. And it's just basically a landing page for the RFA. I'd mentioned that the tabs and buttons in the control panel are linked to worksheets. When you click on a button in the control panel, if it's tied to a worksheet, it will open up that worksheet as well. And you will notice here in this worksheet called the Financial Data Entry Sheet that there is some community financial information that would be entered on the left side here, and that corresponds to fields in the control panel. And you can enter data in either the worksheet directly or into the control panel. The other button in the control panel is for annual dues. It remains on the financial data sheet, but it just refers to a different area. And similarly with the assessments and other incomes, it stays on the financial data sheet. It just refers to another area. I want to call your attention to these financial summary charts. Every sheet that requires data entry also includes some of these financial summary charts. These charts are dynamic, that is, they update instantaneously when you make an update in the data. And what this means is that you can instantly see the results of your changes. For example, in this particular sheet, I have a 5% increase in dues occurring in 2019, and we'll have a 13-year duration of a 5% per year. If I were to change this to 4.5%, you'll see a dramatic difference in the financial summary sheets. The expenses remain the same, but you can see that the reserve balance declines so that by 2040, we don't have enough funds in our reserve in order to meet the expenses that are going to occur in 2040. I'll just change back to 5%, and you can see how quickly that those charts get updated. So I just mentioned that These charts are available on all sheets requiring data entry. Here's the reserve items, which corresponds to this particular button in the control panel. And in the reserve items, we have all of the inventory that you put in of those items that the HOA is responsible to maintain or replace. And you put in data that's typical for these kind of components: the component name, the cost, when it was placed into service, and the estimated useful life. There's also an area on this sheet for special projects that you might want to have. And here you can see the special project data entry section. And I've also moved the control panel so you can see the same financial summary charts that you saw before, so that as you update any financial related information here, you can see an instantaneous change. And I'm going to demonstrate that for you by first closing the control panel. And I'm going to go here to a relatively expensive item. It's called perimeter metal fence repaint. And if I exclude it from the analysis, you'll see how there's an instant change in the financial summary sheets. And then just include it and it changes back again. Similarly, for the loans, you see the financial summary sheets there. All the rest of the sheets within the RFA are data tables and charts and graphs, and they don't require any data entry, so they just represent summary information. For example, here is the depreciable component summary table, and a useful life table, a maintenance schedule, the community summary statistics. Here's a bunch of financial summary charts. There's about a dozen or more on here that you can scroll down and you can view. If you feel like it, you want to bring the control panel up, every sheet has one of these icons that if you click on it, the control panel comes back. And then, of course, you can close the control panel. There's also a compass icon that you click on, and you can park this over to the side, and double clicking on a item here in the sheet navigation tab takes you right to that sheet. And you can close that, of course. Here's the income and expense summary, and here's a financial detail tables. A few of the sheets within the application take a second or two to actually completely load. And this is because these sheets have a lot of data, and it takes a little time for the data to completely refresh. So let's look at a few more here. There's a component cost allocation sheet, which consists of some bar and pie charts where you can see for the entire term of the analysis how much actual funds are being allocated to individual components and into their categories. And then there's a couple more things here for doing some customizations and that sort of thing. Well, that's pretty much the structure of the workbook. The actual details for using the workbook I'm going to go into in later videos, and that'll include how to actually put data in, how to do some what-if analysis, how to incorporate your analysis into reports and into presentations. So thank you very much for watching this introductory video, and I invite you to stay tuned and watch some of the follow-on videos so you can get some more details about how to use the RFA.